We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Hi there, very good morning to you, and welcome to Voices on Win FM 98.9. My name is Clive Backus. I'm sitting in for Troy Biff Mills, who's unavailable this morning. And stay tuned, we've got a very interesting program for you. We have some officials from the Department of Trade, Ministry of Trade. We'll be talking to you about some interesting issues. The CSME, trade, small enterprise development. It's all happening right here on Voices today.
Imagine a place that has all that you need, all of the things for your business to succeed. Furniture, copiers, laptops and more. TDC Business Center is your #1 store. Print and copy and scan and fax. Our copy center does all of that. If you're having a party and you need chairs and tents, you've got all your needs and grand rentals for rent. The TDC Business Center has everything your business needs. Superior copy and printing services, business equipment and furniture, and a wide array of renting materials for all occasions. TDC Business Center, providing solutions that work.
My phone is my everything. It's where I make plans.
You at 7.
It makes me laugh.
When Africans go to the bank, I would like to say hi to my money and leave.
Lets me share my happiest moments and hear a comforting voice when I need it most.
It'll be alright.
It's like a best friend. That's why I get everything out of my phone with a Flow prepaid combo plan.
Save up to 95% on data, talk and text on the fastest and most reliable 4G LTE network. The bigger you go, the bigger you save. So activate your Flow prepaid combo plan today and get your best friend everything.
Well, a very good morning to you once again. Thank you so much for choosing Win FM 90.9. I will now bring you today's edition of Voices. We have with us today Lindis Harris, Junior Trade Policy Officer, Samantha Boone, Trade Policy Officer, Tanya Kelly, and Delwyn Delaney, who are here to talk about some very important matters on today's edition of Voices. I'm going to ask Ms. Samantha Boone to do the formal introductions and begin our discussions today. A very good morning to everyone.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Over to you, Ms. Boone.
All right, good morning to the listening audience. My name is Samantha Boone, and I'm here to present on behalf of our team here from the ministry. The Ministry of International Trade, Industry, Commerce and Consumer Affairs, including the Bureau of Standards, is under the leadership of the Honorable Minister, Mr. Lindsey Grant, and the Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Jasmine Weeks. As stated in the ministry's mission statement, our charge is to facilitate socio-economic development through accommodative trading arrangements and a competitive and enterprising business sector anchored in a consumer-friendly environment. Each department of this ministry has its own unique mandate that we work towards attaining in achieving economic prosperity for the Federation. The Department of International Trade's mission is to strengthen cooperation with the global community, promote the country's contribution to multilateral trade organizations, and provide opportunities for economic investments by developing a range of programs aimed at promoting fair and accessible trade. Its main aim is to ensure the smooth implementation of the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, the Economic Partnership Agreement, the EPA, and other trade agreements. As the public may know, we are also members of the World Trade Organization, WTO. The Department of Industry and Commerce's mission is to strive on becoming an innovative, regionally and globally focused, business savvy, solutions oriented, and service based development public agency. With the aim of being the most knowledgeable, client focused, consensus, and result driven micro and small business development facilitation and aftercare entity in the OECS, this department continually works on building and sustaining relationships with key private sector business organizations and associations and creating specific programs for supporting existing future local business investors. The Department of Bureau of Standards, on the other hand, their main objective is to establish standards in the Federation based on international and regional requirements and monitor for compliance. The Bureau continually works on safeguarding the health and safety of consumers by ensuring that imports, exports, and locally consumed goods conform to national, regional, and international standards and quality. Today, we have a team from the Ministry, which comprises of Mr. Delwayne Delaney, Project Officer within the National Entrepreneurial Development Division, NED, Miss Lindis Harris, Trade Policy Officer, Ms. Tanya Kelly, Trade Policy Officer, and myself, Samantha Boone again, Trade Policy Officer at the Department of International Trade. We will be providing public education on initiatives and programs administered by the Ministry in supporting small business development, and we will also be discussing national and regional matters that affect our economic activity and development to the CARICOM Single Market and Economy Free Movement regime. It is our hope that by the end of this program, the public will be more aware and further enlightened on the facilities available to small businesses, including our service providers and entrepreneurs engaged in agro-processing, architecture, engineering, accounting, and the arts and so forth, in making them more competitive to tap into the regional markets. We are also going to address the ease of movement of people for business, employment, and to benefit from the rights offered under the CSME and the establishment of businesses within the CARICOM region, and also the increased competitiveness of our goods and services. With that said, I will turn over now to Mr. Delwayne Delaney.
Good morning. Thank you, Ms. Samantha Boone. Good morning again to the listening audience. I'm Delwayne Delaney, Project Officer within the Ministry of International Trade, and more specifically the National Entrepreneurial Development Division, which is government's support arm for the SME sector, the small business sector. The small business, NED is the short, came into being in 2009, in February 2009, and we are guided by the Small Business Development Act. In that act, you can find on our website, which is www.miticca.gov.kn. That's www.miticca.gov.kn. And in that act is outline guidelines as to what is considered a small business. For instance, not exceeding 25 persons being employed, whose annual turnover does not exceed $2 million, whose net assets or paid-up capital does not exceed $1 million, and one of the tricky ones, locally owned. Locally owned does not mean St. Kitts and Nevis, but it's the CARICOM, so CARICOM countries, as my colleagues will speak more to that when it comes to the CARICOM single market and economy. Over the years, we have done extensive work within the SME sector. To date, we have assisted over 500 small business persons and businesses. We have seen the emergence of new businesses, innovative businesses, a wide range of spectrum in terms of from a services standpoint and also a product oriented standpoint. Our assistance is not financial. We are just mainly deal with technical assistance. So for instance, when it comes to business plan proposal writing, duty-free concession, a business might need to import a piece of equipment, a vehicle, which is appropriate for the business and the operation. We assist in alleviating some of the taxes that comes with the importation. We do consultations. Person might just need some advice as to where their business is going, whether it's a good idea or not, ways on how to attack their business, so to speak. We also conduct workshops, in-house workshops as well as external. Just last week we would have an internal workshop or mini seminar with some of our new clients. We do also provide advice as it relates to financing in terms of the avenues out there in terms of getting financing for your business. As I said previously, we have assisted numerous small businesses, but we weren't able to do so without the partnership, the strategic partnership with entities such as the Chamber of Commerce, the Development Bank, OAS, which is the Organization of American States, WTO, World Trade Organization, Caribbean Export, and local businesses as well. Just recently, in 2017, we would have established the SBDC, which is the Small Business Development Center. This is something that is housed in San Antonio, Texas, and they have now launched out to the Caribbean countries, or reached out to the Caribbean countries to get on board. This SBDC and the model allows NED to function at a more efficient way, where we can track how we are doing and the impact that we are actually having on the economy, whether it be persons being employed, money is generated, just to name a few. So in a nutshell, that's what NED, the operations of NED. In this second section or segment, we will take questions for persons who are unclear or have comments or concerns as it relates to NED and the small business sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Delwyn. We'll now turn it over to Ms. Harris to speak on CSME matters.
Thank you, Ms. Boone. This morning I'll be addressing matters relating to the CSME and the procedures for applying and verifying a CARICOM Skills Certificate. Now, the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, also referred to as the CSME, is an enlarged market which offers more and better opportunities to produce and sell goods and services and to attract investment. The CSME also offers increased competitiveness, full employment, and improved standards of living for the people of the Caribbean community. The main changes resulting from the introduction of the CSME includes the abolition of the work permit. So persons moving within the CSME as a skilled person would no longer need to apply for a work permit. The CSME also introduced the CARICOM Skills Certificate, which is the certificate that is needed for persons, qualified persons, to move and work in the region. It eliminated the, it allows persons to get the definite entry of 6 months stay into the country in the first instance. It also offers the indefinite stay in a member state and the right to transfer one's social security benefit from one member state to another. The movement of skills or labor basically entails the right of a CARICOM national to seek work or engage in gainful employment in all CARICOM member states as a wage earner without the need to obtain a work permit. Eligibility of persons moving. Now, persons who are eligible for the free movement of skills must engage in legitimate economic activity in the CARICOM Single Market and Economy. There are currently no rights regarding the free movement solely for the purpose of residency or permanent naturalization or citizenship. So persons are expected to come in with the intention to work or come in with already prepared, like, if you have a contract already or so forth. Okay. If a person wish to migrate from one CARICOM state to live in another, he or she must still apply for residency or citizency in accordance with the laws of that country. Who is a CARICOM national? According to Article 32.5a of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, a CARICOM national is a citizen of a CARICOM member state. This person is also someone who has a connection with a member state of any kind, which entitles him or her to be regarded as belonging to, or, if it be so expressed, as being a native or resident of the state for purpose of the laws thereof related to immigration. Participating countries of the CSME, while there are 15 CARICOM member states, only 14 countries participate in the CSME. So we have St. Kitts and Nevis, Jamaica, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Dominica, Antigua and Barbuda, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Belize, Montserrat, Suriname and Haiti. Those are the countries that currently participate in the CSME. So Bahamas is the one CARICOM country that's not functioning under the CSME. There are currently 10 categories under which persons can apply for the CARICOM Skills Certificate. The first being a university graduate. There's a category for artists, musicians, sports persons, media workers, professional nurses, teachers, artisans with a CVQ, and holders of associate degree or comparable qualification. Comparable qualification in this case would be, for example, 2 CAPE subjects or certified accounting technician certificates and national technician certificates requiring at least 2 years of study at the post-secondary level. The 10th category, which is the household domestics category, that is one that is currently under review, so we won't address that much today. How can someone apply for the skills certificate? Now, the Ministry of International Trade is the competent authority for the issuance of the skills certificate. We are the focal point. There's an application form with the requirements listed. The form is at the Ministry of International Trade. It is also available on the ministry's website, which was mentioned earlier. It's www.miticca.gov.kn. There are a number of documents that an applicant would need to submit to support the application. The processing time takes maybe 6 to 8 weeks, around that time. There's a committee that meets to review the application, so it isn't, you're coming to the ministry and the ministry does it on its own. We have other key stakeholders, including the Ministry of National Security, the Labor Department, Accreditation Secretariat, the TVET Council, Tourism Authority, and from Nevis we have the Premier's Ministry and also the Labor Department there. In terms of verifying a skills certificate, what is the verification of a skills certificate? Now, someone coming from Trinidad and Tobago with a CARICOM skills certificate would not need to be issued a new certificate in St. Kitts and Nevis. We would contact the competent authority in Trinidad and Tobago, confirm that they did in fact issue the certificate, and the person would be granted indefinite stay in St. Kitts and Nevis. This process, though, comes with requirements as well. The individual would need to fill in a form, make a payment. It's 50 EC only for the verification process. Submit the relevant documents, and then the application will be processed. And I didn't mention earlier, but the processing fee for the application is actually 250 EC. So that's it for now for me, until the questions come in.
Thank you, Lindis. I will now make a presentation on the rights of establishment and the provision of services. Now, this is an arm of CSME, so some of the things that Lindis would have said, I would probably repeat a bit of it. The CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, which I will be referring to it from here on, is an arrangement among the CARICOM member states for the creation of a single enlarged economic space through the removal of restrictions resulting in the free movement of goods, services, persons, capital, and technology, and it confers the right of CARICOM nationals to establish a business in any participating CARICOM member state. The CSME is quite important, with its main objectives being the full use of labor, which is full employment, full exploitation of the other factors of production, which are natural resources and capital, competitive production leading to greater variety and quantity of goods and services to trade with other countries, and it is expected that these objectives will in turn provide improved standard of living and work and sustain economic development. Now, the CSME comprises of 5 regimes, which is free movement of skills and labor, free movement of goods, free movement of services, free movement of capital, and the right of establishment. Now, the right of establishment, as defined by our revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, which is the agreement that we are following, includes the right to engage in any non-wage earning activity of a commercial, industrial, agricultural, or professional nature, and also create and manage economic enterprises referred to under the specific article. Now, the right of establishment regime also includes the ability of that CARICOM national to move managerial, technical, and supervisory staff of the business to another member state without having to acquire work permits for that staff once they are CARICOM nationals. The business entity, though, will have to obtain the work permits for the managerial, technical, and supervisory staffs who are not CARICOM nationals. Spouses and immediate dependent family members, like children, of the CARICOM national who owns the business entity, and also the managerial, technical, and supervisory staff can also move. Spouses, though, of the person who owns the business can work without a work permit. However, presently, spouses of the managerial, technical, and supervisory staff would need to obtain a work permit. Any CARICOM national, which is something that we would need to remember, has the right to establish a commercial presence in the territory of any member state. Now, in order for CARICOM nationals to enjoy the rights of establishment, the treaty prohibits any new restrictions on the right of establishment by member states. They require member states to move restrictions on companies, agencies, branches, and subsidiaries. They are also expected to grant that member states ensure access to land, buildings, and property for the right of establishment of business and economic enterprise. And also it grants the right to engage in any non-wage earning activity of a commercial, industrial, agricultural, professional, and artisanal nature. Artisanal means activities undertaken by self-employed persons. Lindis would have mentioned the countries that participate in the CSME arrangements, so I won't reiterate that. Under the right of establishment, member states are afforded certain treatments, such as freedom to incorporate or register an incorporated company, including agencies, branches, and subsidiaries, the freedom to register a business name, the right to engage in non-wage earning activities as a self-employed person, the freedom of movement without a work permit, including the freedom to leave and re-enter the host country, access to land and property for use in the person's business other than for speculative purposes or for a purpose potentially destabilizing the economy, access to property for use as a person's residence, non-discriminatory access to licenses and permits, access to capitals through loans and incentives and so forth in that receiving country, the entry of managerial, supervisory, or technical staff to serve the business without a work permit, and the entry of spouses and immediate dependent family members of the business persons and his or her staff. Now, there are steps that need to be taken when trying to establish a business in the member states. The first step would be at the point of entry of that specific member state that the person is trying to enter. First, they would have to present valid entry documents to the immigration, which are a valid passport, a return ticket, and proof of financial resources for personal maintenance, namely credit cards, traveler's checks, cash, or a combination of those. The immigration would grant the CARICOM national a definite stay of 6 months. The second procedure is the registration of a new or existing company. They should be allowed access to licenses, permits, and authorizations. Incorporation or registration of a business is not necessarily enough to register a business. You would have to complete the necessary requirements of that country, whether it's building permits, labor law codes, approval of installation and connection of any utilities, having minimum capital requirements, and so on and so forth. They are also allowed access to land, building, and property, because according to the revised treaty, member states are to ensure that nationals of one member state may have access to land, building, and other property situated in the territory of another member state on a non-discriminatory basis. They are also supposed to have access to identified sectors and industries. Like, there are some sectors that require special licensing, such as banking and insurance and mining. So an establishing entity should seek advice from the competent authority of that country to basically get clarification on what is needed to go into that sector. They should also have presentation of relevant documentation to the competent authority, and the information that should be submitted with these documentation is business name, certificate of incorporation, financial resources sufficient to start a business plan or project proposal for a new enterprise, and a police certificate. The competent authority will then determine if all of the requirements to establish that particular business has been satisfied. But during that time, during the time that it's considering the documentation, the competent authority may request additional documentation or may issue a temporary recognition to allow for extension of time for an additional 6 months. The third step is granting indefinite stay and extensions. Once all of the requirements are satisfied, the competent authority of that country will issue a letter of approval to the CARICOM national copied to the Immigration Department. Once that letter is given, the CARICOM national is entitled to operate the business without a work permit and is entitled to an indefinite stay. He or she should then take the letter to the Immigration Department to be stamped with an indefinite entry stamp. Additionally to that, where the CARICOM national is no longer operating the business or another business, the Immigration Department has the right to cancel the indefinite stay and allow the CARICOM national to remain under another CSME regime or a work permit. Extensions are provided, though, in the event that the business is not established within the 6 months period. The CARICOM national should present to the Immigration Department evidence for the competent authority that concrete steps have been taken to establish the business. Where such evidence is provided, the CARICOM national is granted an extension. So once the Immigration Department gets enough information that you are in the process of establishing a business, then they would grant you extension. There are some stamps that the Immigration Department would provide to CARICOM nationals. There are 3 of them. There's the Rights of Establishment Definite Entry for 6 month stamp. There's the Rights of Establishment Extension stamp, and there's the Rights of Establishment Indefinite Entry stamp. Now, when we consider a person moving to establish a business, we must consider also their spouse and immediate dependent members like their children. So spouses and immediate dependent family members have the rights to enter and reside with the CARICOM national during the initial period of 6 months. So they can travel with them and reside in that country for these next 6 months. They can leave and re-enter the host country without seeking further permission. They may be granted indefinite entry when the CARICOM national is granted indefinite entry as well. And they have the opportunity to work without a work permit. The managerial, technical, and supervisory personnel, spouses, and family members, though, on the other hand, would have to go through a different procedure. Now, where CARICOM national has established a commercial presence, he or she is entitled to freely move the managerial, supervisory, and technical staff of his or her business entity. The application for moving without a work permit is done by the business and not by the managerial staff. The business entity determines which staff should be considered managerial. So the staff members cannot decide, well, I'm a managerial staff or I'm a technical supervisory staff. The owner of the business or the manager of the business is who determines this. Now, the procedure for registering the staff, the business entity should submit a letter to the competent authority with the list of managerial, technical, and supervisory staff that it intends to move to the country, along with the following documents: a letter or contract of employment, list of spouses and dependents, valid passports, birth certificates of the dependents, marriage certificates if there's any, police record. Now, the member states are allowed to grant 6 months definite entry while processing the applications of the staff members. Thereafter, they must be provided with indefinite entry. Where the managerial staff ceases to be employed with a CARICOM business, Immigration Department must be notified, and they can cancel that indefinite entry but allow the staff member to remain under another CSME regime if he or she qualifies, or work permit. A country has the right to refuse entry of a CARICOM national if the CARICOM national poses, or if they have sufficient grounds to believe that the CARICOM national will pose a threat to public order, health, or safety of that country. So they can refuse entry of a CARICOM national under those grounds. The provision of service is the next step that I would speak about. There are some persons who provide service on their own as an individual or as a company. Now, CARICOM nationals have the right to work as self-employed persons in order to provide services other than wages in any approved sector. This is what we call, or we refer to, provision of services, which means the supply of services. And in this case, we look at 4 modes of supply of services. The first mode, what we call mode 1, is the cross-border supply. This takes place when a service supplied from one territory of one member state into the territory of another member state. The service is rendered by a resident in one economic territory to a resident of another economic territory, and only the service crosses the border, or a product is delivered across borders, and the consumer and the supplier remain in the respective territories. So just to break it down a bit, the suppliers or the consumers do not cross the border. It's just the service that crosses the border. So some examples of this would be, let's say, e-banking, doing studies online, even buying the simple clothing on the internet, e-commerce. So this is what we call cross-border supply. The second mode is consumption abroad, mode 2. This occurs when the service is supplied in the territory of one member state to the service consumer of another member state. That is, the consumer consumes the service outside his or her home territory. Either the consumer or his property is abroad. Some of these could be tourist activities, such as going to a theater in a different country, traveling abroad for medical services. Even if your ship, if you are a fisherman and you have a boat and you want your boat to be repaired, and you send it abroad to a CARICOM country to be repaired, that would be considered as consumption abroad, because the actual item crosses the border. The property of the service provider crosses the border. Then there is mode 3, which we call commercial presence. Commercial presence takes place through the supply of a service by a service supplier of one member state through commercial presence in the territory of another member state. Services supplied by a foreign-owned branch or subsidiary of a bank, medical services provided by a foreign-owned hospital, and or courses offered in its home country is an example of commercial presence. Like we have the Scotia Bank, the Bank of Nova Scotia. We have the Royal Bank. We have even Burger King. We have certain subsidiaries that are here. Those are considered commercial presence. And mode 4, which is the final mode, is the presence of natural persons. This occurs when an individual is temporarily present in the territory of an economy other than his own to provide a commercial service. Now, mode 4 is generally understood as covering contractual service suppliers, like someone who works on a contract. Whether it's an employee of a foreign service supplier, someone who's self-employed, intra-corporate transferee, as in persons who work in a business and there's a subsidiary and they transfer within the business in a different country, service suppliers who enter the host country to establish contractual relationships, and so on and so forth. So we have persons who do consultative work, who come and provide work for persons on a contract. Those persons are considered natural persons, and that mode is mode 4. Now, as an individual, a CARICOM national can provide service just as an individual, not having to go through a company. Now, if they wish to exercise such, that right is there to provide services through the temporary movement of a national. They have to be registered with the competent authority of the member state where he or she resides to obtain a certificate of recognition as a service provider or services certificate. The competent authority is to issue the certificate to this person, and it will be valid for the lifetime of the service provider. To obtain the certificate, he or she must provide proof of CARICOM nationality, proof of competency to provide the service, contract to offer the service, a letter from the relevant association or reputable person or body speaking to the ability of that person being able to provide the service. Now, when that individual tries to enter the CARICOM member state, they have the right to enter, but they must present the services certificate to the immigration officer at the port of entry of the receiving country, along with a valid passport and the contract to offer the service or an invitation letter from the client. So they have to prove that they are going to that country to provide a specific service to a client, company, so on and so forth. The established procedures mandate that the immigration officer must grant the national sufficient time to provide the service. If the contract is less than 6 months, the service provider must be allowed to remain for at least 6 months, as evidence to the 6-month stamp that I spoke about earlier. Where the contract to provide the service is longer than 6 months, though, the service provider must be allowed to remain with permission to work for the length of her contract or his contract. So even though they are granted the 6 months with the 6-month stamp, but if their contract states that they would need to work longer than the 6 months, they are allowed to do so once they are granted that permission from the immigration officer. Now, where it's evident that the service will not be completed within the time that's stipulated in the contract, the service provider must request an extension of stay from the immigration department and submit proof that the services would not be completed in the stipulated time. The immigration department must grant the extension of stay. So once that information is provided and is valid, the immigration department must grant the extension of stay. And we're going on a bit long, but I'm going to wrap up in a bit. Business entity. Now, the business entity is a bit different. Not much, but just slightly. The legal entity is not required to obtain a services certificate, so business does not need to obtain that services certificate, and is therefore not required to be registered with the competent authority. All that is required is a contract for the service. So if a business is traveling to a CARICOM member state to provide a service, all they would need is a contract. Most an individual would need more than that business entity. Now, entry of personnel of that business entity. So if workers of that business entity would need to travel, when they're entering the country, they would have to present a copy of the contract for the provision of the service to the immigration officer at whatever port of entry, along with a valid passport and their contract of employment with the service provider. So they would have to provide a contract to show that the business has been contracted by whatever entity or person in that receiving member state, and also a contract of employment that showing that they are employed by that specific business entity. Where the contract is for less than 6 months, the service provider must be allowed to remain for at least 6 months, the same as the individual. If the service that they're going to be providing would take longer than 6 months, they must also write for permission for extension of time, which they should be granted. Where it is evident that the service will not be completed again within the stipulated time, they must show the immigration department proof that the work will not be completed in the stipulated time, and the immigration department, once they're satisfied with the proof, they have to grant the extension of stay. So, just to recap just a little bit, some of the points to remember: that the rights that a CARICOM national is entitled to under the rights of establishment regime are the right of definite entry of 6 months, the right to an extension of time of an additional 6 months to finish establishing the business, the right to indefinite entry upon submission of the necessary documentation to the competent authority, the right to operate the business entity without a work permit, and the right to bring the managerial, technical, and supervisory staff of the business entity to the member state and for them to work with the business entity without a work permit. Now, the rights of a CARICOM national under the provision of services regime, they have the right of a definite entry of at least 6 months, the right of entry to remain for the length of the contract if longer than 6 months, the right to carry out the service without a work permit for the length of the contract, the right to move the employees of the service provider to the member state in order to provide the service without requiring them to have work permits, the right to receive written decisions, reasons of a decision of the relevant authority, the right to consult an attorney at law or a consular officer, the right to the judicial review of a decision of the relevant authority, the right of the spouse and dependents of the CARICOM service provider to enter and reside with the CARICOM national for the duration of his or her stay, the right of the spouse, regardless of the nationality, of the CARICOM national service provider to work without a work permit, and the right of the spouse and dependents of the employees of the CARICOM service provider to be allowed to enter and remain with the employees. The spouses, though, are not permitted to work without a work permit. So, that is it for me. I'll take a few questions when we open up questions, but for now, I'll turn it over to Ms. Kelly.
Good morning again to the listening audience. As stated earlier, my name is Tanya Kelly, and I am an international trade policy officer with the Ministry of International Trade. I am here to speak to a number of business development opportunities and opportunities for funding as well, available to the private sector and small to medium-sized business enterprises who have the potential to export their goods and services and who want to increase their exports. The first opportunity, which is a funding opportunity that we will look at, is the Direct Assistance Grant Scheme. And the value of this grant can fall between 10 to 50,000 euros. So it just depends on the cost of your project it can fall between 10 to 50,000 euros. The grant is facilitated by Caribbean Exports. It is also funded by the European Union. Now, the grant is geared towards providing financial assistance for small to medium-sized business enterprises. It was designed to support established businesses with strong potential to export their products and services. The grant is reimbursable. However, there is a catch. You must have proof that you can fully fund the project before it is approved. And it allows for a reimbursement of up to 70% of your total project costs. The grant covers a wide range of growth and development areas, which include equipment modernization, food safety, standard certificate and regulations, research development and innovations, advisory service, product and service development, marketing services and activities, which can include trade show booths, procurement fees and registration costs, quality and environmental systems, promotional materials, for example, brochures, catalogs, CDs and videos, training programs, implementation of IT solutions, which can include websites, e-commerce and multimedia, market research and testing, packaging design, protection of intellectual property, and energy efficiency and renewable energy. And this list is just for guidance and is not limited to. So just to give a brief overview of the objectives of the Direct Assistance Grant Scheme, they aim to open new markets, increasing exports for the Caribbean region and other international markets. They aim to reduce environmental impact. They aim to promote programs which will impact on underdeveloped areas or disadvantaged sectors within the region, and they aim to facilitate the protection of intellectual property rights. So you may ask, who can apply for the grant? And there are 4 main conditions that must be met before you can attain the grant. The first one is the business must be legally registered and operating in a CARIFORUM member state, and CARIFORUM member states include the Caribbean, Africa, and the Pacific countries. The firm must be trading or operating for at least 2 years and must have the financial statements and accounts to show. They must be able to financially sustain the project fully at the beginning, and they must be exporting or demonstrate the potential to export goods and services. So how to apply? At the Ministry of Trade, we have a country advisor, which is myself, and there's another one on the island, but she's with the Chambers of Industry and Commerce, and we are available to give guidelines to applicants through the process. The call for proposals of the grant begin on April 23rd and ends on June 4th. So just to walk us through the application process, the first step of the application process is the completion of the official application that can be downloaded from the Caribbean Export website. The application requires applicants to submit information regarding a personal profile, banking details of the company, project information, which should include a brief description of the project, summary of the action plan, a description of human resources, which should include staff and consultation, a list of expected results, details as to the project's relevance to the community, and information about partner or partners, if any. The last piece of information that is required on the application, which is most important, is the expected budget. And the final stage of the application process involves the Caribbean Export Diagnostic Assessment Tool. And this is a new tool that came on stream recently, and it is now used to play a key role in terms of the evaluation phase of the process. It helps to assess companies' capacity to execute the project that they have submitted funding for. The diagnostic tool assess companies based on 4 main pillars: product and services, management, marketing, and finance. At the end of the application process, companies are then given a total score which helps to assist in the final selection process. Now, the reimbursement process that I mentioned earlier, it is a very intricate process, because reimbursement can only be given on budget items that are approved. So when you submit your budget, each item must be individually approved by Caribbean Export and the EU. So you can only receive the reimbursement on what is approved. And beneficiaries' reimbursement can only, it cannot exceed 70% of your total cost. So let's say your total cost is 100,000. You have to cover 30% of that 100,000, and the remaining 70% will be reimbursed by Caribbean Export and the EU once it is approved. Also, beneficiaries have 2 opportunities now after the amendment to the 10th EDF. Beneficiaries now have 2 window opportunities to submit reimbursement claims: at the 3-month mark and at the end of the 6 months. When submitting a reimbursement claim, all quotations, signed contracts, agreements, receipts, invoices, and proof of payment must be submitted. Reimbursements are distributed no later than 2 months after the claim has been submitted. And I just want to highlight a sensitization workshop that the Ministry of International Trade is partnering with the Ministry of Chamber, Industry and Commerce, the EU, and the Caribbean Export with a direct assistance grant scheme workshop. And it takes place on April 18th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And the workshop is just basically to provide businesses and business support organizations with the necessary tools and avenues to access the grant. The facilitator will be Chris McNeil, manager at Caribbean Export. The location is the conference room at the Department of Agriculture. To register, you can go to www.carib-export.com/DAGS workshop. Another opportunity for development that is available to small businesses, private sector, is the We Export program. And not to be a bit biased, but this program is solely geared towards women in business, women-headed business. So it aims to provide assistance and support for women-owned businesses to increase their ability to access funding. It provides training opportunities in the core business and professional areas. It provides advocacy for women entrepreneurs with regards to issues and public policies. It aids female-owned businesses to access new and foreign market. Now, the eligibility criteria for this program is businesses must be registered and based in a CARIFORUM member state. At least 51. It must be 51% owned by a woman or women. It must be managed and controlled daily by 1 or more women. It has to be in operation for at least 2 years. Business must show consistent sales growth. it has to have a basic staff structure in place. Products and services are ready to expand in existing and new markets. There must be a maintenance of business and financial reports, and there must be products and services that has export potential are ready to be exported. Now, some of the benefits that can be derived from engaging in an assistance project of this nature is businesses will have access to grant funding. There is access to finance workshops and technical assistance to meet the requirements of funding institutions. There is the opportunity to be a part of online business training and webinars. Businesses are also assigned a personal business coach. There is access to business networking opportunities, and there is advocacy campaign to give a voice to female entrepreneurs. Now, the deadline for this program has already passed. However, to access more information for next year's call and updates on the program, you can subscribe to the We Export mailing list at www.carib-export.com, or you can visit the ministry's office at the Nagico Building, Bladen's Commercial Development. Right. Okay. The last program that we'll touch on is the Economic Partnership Agreement, and it will be called, usually called the EPA. So the EPA is a new trade and development agreement between the Caribbean and the European Union. The relationship enables CARIFORUM members to grow their economies in a sustainable way. Companies can only access benefit from this agreement if they are CARIFORUM registered businesses. So you must be registered with CARIFORUM to access the benefits and the funding and developmental opportunities that this arrangement or this agreement has to offer. Benefits of this partnership agreement to the private sector. Private sector firms can export freely to the EU, no duties to pay at customs and no quotas. The EPA provides aid for trade that helps to cut the cost of exporting and importing. It helps to protect local producers that might struggle to compete against EU importers, and the EPA also provides assistance to farmers in terms of meeting EU high standards in food safety and animal and health safety. This brings me to the end of my presentation, and I just want to encourage the private sector and all the SMEs to basically take advantage of the opportunities that we have in terms of business development and funding. At the end of the day, we are living in a highly competitive world, whether it's business or in any other regards, and we must, as a country, try to make ourselves more marketable in the international market. And if you have any additional questions or you require any additional clarifications, please do not hesitate to visit our office. It is located on the second floor of the Nagico Building, Bladen's Commercial Development. You can also call 467-1069, and you can email me at tanya.kelly@gov.kn.
Well, thank you very much, officers of the Ministry of Trade, Ms. Lindis Harris, Samantha Boone, Tanya Kelly, and Mr. Delwyn Delaney. And we'll now hear from our partners. Then we get a headline news. We come back, and you'll get a chance to pose your questions or to make your comments on what you've heard. The first an hour of introduction and explanation about the CSME and the small enterprise development issues of the day.
Imagine you have Hollywood at your command. Introducing Flow Evil. Anywhere you are,
Everything creeping through the night. delicious flavors to choose from.
Orange tropical mango,
Peach orange, orange apricot, black currant,
apple, red orange, red fruit,
bursting with vitamin C.
some quick.
Natural, tasty, full of vitamin C. The drink for the whole family. It's Sunquick.
Like us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/ramsupermarket. Follow us on Twitter, www.twitter.com/ramsupermarket. And subscribe to us on YouTube, www.youtube.com/ramsupermarket.
Reliability, performance, longevity. This is how you know that Yamaha Outboard motors are the best choice. With superior performance and efficiency, Yamaha Outboard motors offer the greatest value on water. Yamaha Outboard motors. Reliability starts here. Get yours today at the TDC Automotive Divisions for as low as $100 per week. Or buy it cash and get $750 cash back. Free gas vouchers and much more. Plus earn big bucks with every successful referral made. Visit TDC Automotive today. Terms and conditions apply.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, FamCare, Subway, Carib Brewery, and CNC Trading.
BioCare Lab says it's your hair, so wear it your way with Curls and Naturals Hair Care Solutions. Start it right with Curls and Naturals Texturizer Hair Softener, infused with Moroccan argan oil, and maintain it with the Dream Curl Cream with honey and shea butter, all with daily moisturizing anti-fizz and shine serum. For locks and twists, nourish them with a curl-defining custard and see them grow. It's your hair. Wear it your way with Curls and Naturals. A brand new you every day.
Curls and Natural, sold locally by CNC Trading on the CAP Southwell Industrial Site. Telephone 465-4081.
Every country has a story of its own, and the people who live there are the ones that tell it best.
This is God's country!
Caribbean Alliance Insurance. We're secure. Deal while win and go. People, you can try. It's not free. 30 days in April. Stick with me. Take a pick on the discount. Percentage free. 30 to 50 off comprehensive premium. And if you got a third party, take the maximum. You got 10 days. Use it as you wish. Alternative transport. Not a penny to your list. You get a brand new ride if the car's written off within the first 12 months. Tell me how does that sound? Yeah, sounds good, doesn't it? It don't stop there, cause I ain't really finished yet. Call the group up, tell them it's okay. We can ride free, knowing medical is in our lane. No additional cost, so whether it's the act of God or a critical loss, tomorrow we're secured cause we got you on our minds. People you can trust, you can hold it to your dime.
Ride free this Easter. Contact the Little Walwyn in St. Kitts, 465-2631, or in Nevis, 469-5303. Conditions apply.
Ride free.
Come to Subway and eat fresh. Try our daily specials. That's right, we have a special every day at Subway. Come in today and eat fresh. Stay healthy.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic, and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
St. Kitts will host 5 matches this summer for Hero Caribbean Premier League CPL 2018, Minister of Sport Deputy Prime Minister Sean Richards has confirmed. This year's regional T20 tournament, dubbed the biggest party in sports, will run from August 8th to September 16th. Win FM has learned that the matches slated for St. Kitts' Warner Park will take place August 28th and 30th, then on September 1st, 2nd and 4th. The sports minister confirmed with Win FM that the government had already made payments to host the matches. St. Kitts Nevis will retain its franchise, the Patriots, and its cricket superstar captain, Jamaican Chris Gayle, who led the team to a second-place finish behind champions Trinbago Knight Riders in 2017. The usual 6 regional teams will return to Hero CPL T20 2018. St. Kitts Nevis Patriots, Trinbago Knight Riders, Jamaica Talowa, St. Lucia Stars, Guyana Amazon Warriors, and Barbados Tridents. The Patriots' Chris Gayle is among 5 other team captains in the top salary slot, netting the players US $160,000. The 2018 Hero CPL T20 attracts the world's top cricketers, and this year is no different. The 2018 draw saw a record 227 overseas players and 121 West Indian cricketers up for selection. Returning to the CPL lineup are Caribbean superstars Sunil Narine, Dwayne Bravo, Evan Lewis, and Lendl Simmons, alongside several international icons including Brendan McCullum, Sohail Tanvir, Shakib Al-Sahan, Martin Guptill, Hashim Amla, and Shahid Afridi. Jamaican star Andre Russell returns after missing CPL 2017.
The Ministry of Education, in partnership with the Republic of China and Taiwan, has delivered new equipment to the early childhood centers in the Federation. The equipment, designed to engage young children in outdoor recreation, is a part of an ongoing project between the two entities. Speaking about the project, Minister of Education Sean Richards said, quote, "Outdoor play enables children to recharge their batteries, to reinvigorate themselves, by engaging in a different kind of activity from their classroom experience. Play, which is important in its own right, enables them to get ready to return to the important work of learning in the classroom. Hence, engaging with outdoor environments fulfill a child's basic need for freedom, adventure, experimentation, risk-taking, which are keys to being a child." End quote. The Embassy of the Republic of China and Taiwan, through His Excellency Ambassador Chow, said the donation of the equipment was fundamental to the success of the project, but underscored the holistic development of young students, saying, quote, "While providing the outdoor activity equipment cannot guarantee a child conducting proper interaction with his or her peers, without the valuable contributions by the teachers and parents and guardians, the national future of St. Kitts and Nevis won't have the opportunity to be great." End quote.
The St. Kitts Tourism Authority is inviting the general public to celebrate and honor tourism stakeholders, partners, and contributors of the St. Kitts tourism industry by nominating them for the 2018 Tourism Awards. Nominations are open to any individual, business, or organization that meets the criteria for the following categories: The People's Choice, which is someone who strives to exceed customers' expectations and maintains professionalism at all times. Pillar of the industry, an organization, business, or individual who sets a standard for others to follow. Achievement of excellence, a business or organization that provides vision and direction for the industry. Kitchen Experience Award, someone who provides visitors with an authentic and creative kitchen experience through their products and services. Sustainable Tourism Award, a business or organization that is eco-friendly and conscious in the preservation of water, energy, waste, and wildlife. National Champion Award, an individual who promotes the destination, maintains a positive image, and has a keen sense of national pride. Employee of the Year Award, and Award of Excellence, someone who takes initiative, knows about the products and services that are offered. Nominations can be submitted by completing an online form on the authority's website or at the front desk of the St. Kitts Tourism Authority or the Ministry of Tourism. All nomination forms are to be submitted no later than Monday, 30th April.
The owner of Buddy's Bar on the entertainment area called the Strip in Frigate Bay, Mr. John Wilkes, better known as John Maud, has taken to social media to complain of what he describes as a modern-day eviction after the Frigate Bay Development Corporation reportedly increased its rent by more than 100%, from $1,100 to $2,500. Mr. Wilkes posted that he told his staff that he would have to close after being in business for 11 years. Other bar owners on the Strip have also expressed concern about the new rates. The manager of the Frigate Bay Development Corporation, Mr. Sly Buncamper, declined to comment on the issue when contacted by WinFM 98.9 on Monday. It was under the watch of former Minister of Tourism Dwight Astafan that the Strip had its early beginnings. WinFM contacted Mr. Astafan for comment.
The originating concept for the Strip was to provide a delightful visitor experience and also a local experience for both visitors and local alike, let me put it that way, and to give small local entrepreneurs an opportunity to provide food and beverage and other local activities in that area. So to give it a kind of personality and something different from the spanking marble floor hotels and that sort of thing. Give it a local experience. Now, the concept back then was to make it available to people on an affordable basis.
He explained the arrangement that obtained between the FBDC and bar owners.
For years, the people over there were paying a fixed rent, as far as I am told. Now, I am told they rent the land. They spend their own money to build the structures subject to the approval of the Frigate Bay Development Corporation. That the structures belong to the Frigate Bay Development Corporation. So they're not renting the structures. They are financing the structures, which they can use for as long as there are tenants. But if, for one reason or other, they continue no longer to be the tenants, then somebody else gets the use of it, unless, well, and they get no money unless the Frigate Bay Development Corporation approves the assignment, in which case the transfer of the business would carry a price.
The Frigate Bay Development Corporation has experienced financial difficulties over the years, according to Mr. Astafan.
I am told that the Frigate Bay Development Corporation salaries and wages bills are paid from the central government. But the Frigate Bay Development Corporation needs money so that it can come as close as possible to being self-sufficient. It has come up with the idea of increasing the rent. That is one, in their opinion, legitimate way of doing so. And I don't disagree that maybe the rents can be increased. My concern is the timing of doing it, effective the 1st of April, which is the end of the tourist season, in a season that the bar operators over there will tell you was not the greatest season, going into the dull season, the hurricane season, and that sort of thing. It would do serious damage, not just to their confidence and morale, but to their bottom lines as well.
He offered recommendations on the way forward for the Strip and the wider Frigate Bay community.
When I bought my land at Frigate Bay, almost maybe 30 years ago, I paid a sewage connection fee, a one-off fee. I have never paid anything since for living in Frigate Bay. Out of my general taxes come the payment for the garbage. My taxes do not go to Frigate Bay unless directly, so sewage maintenance of the sewage system and other infrastructure there, they have to find a way to pay for it. I am suggesting that the Frigate Corporation and the government need to do a macro analysis of Frigate Bay, given the critical importance of Frigate Bay to the national economy and our tourism industry, and come up with a way to gently introduce and maybe have a gentle increase formula for things like sewage treatment, sewage services, and other services. And so maybe each household, each restaurant, each hotel in Frigate Bay can be given its fair share of responsibility to ensure that the area is properly maintained.
We now bring you this report from Antigua's Observer Radio.
A recent study commissioned by a regional group is highlighting unfair admission policies administered by law schools throughout CARICOM and is recommending changes to the process. The findings are contained in the final report on legal education in CARICOM member states, which was prepared by the Impact Justice Project and funded by the Canadian government. The report highlights the status and relevance of the current legal education system, the extent to which it meets the needs of the students, and concerns of discrimination in access to legal education, and by extension, the legal profession. Regional Project Director for Impact Justice, Professor Velma Newton, says a wide range of people were canvassed during the assessment period.
What the survey pointed to was that most people were in favor of widening access to legal education by providing that students other than those who went through the faculties of law of UE should be allowed access to the law school on the same terms as persons who are currently in UE. That is, that they do not have to do any entrance exam. What has been happening is that with the large numbers coming out from UE, this is from Mona, St. Augustine, and Trinidad and Barbados, the faculties of law of UE, that there's no space in the law schools for other persons.
Professor Newton says the system, which requires students earning degrees from other institutions in order to sit an entrance exam, was set up in the 1970s and has outlived its purpose. The group is calling for the entrance exam to be done away with because it's discriminatory. They're also recommending that the Council of Legal Education be transformed into an accreditation body to approve the setting up of other law schools in countries such as Antigua and Barbuda and Guyana. She says this would meet the growing demand.
What it would mean is that students from the University of Technology in Jamaica, from the University of Guyana, and from any other institutions that have an LLB program that is approved by the council would be able to go to law schools, provided they pass the exams and so on. Some of the older lawyers are talking about, there are too many lawyers, etc., etc. But just as medical education has opened up in the region, there's no reason why legal education should not. And Impact Justice strongly believes that you should not have a system where only a few people can be admitted to a profession.
That's Regional Project Director for Impact Justice, Professor Velma Newton.
We now bring you this international report.
Homeland Security Advisor to the President, Tom Bossert, we just learned is resigning. Let's go to Caitlin Collins at the White House for the latest on this. Caitlin, what have you learned?
Well, John, we have confirmed that Tom Bossert, the Homeland Security Advisor, has resigned. The White House actually just issued a statement from the press secretary, Sarah Sanders. I'm going to read it to you. She said, quote, "The president is grateful for Tom's commitment to the safety and security of our great country Tom led the White House's efforts to protect the homeland from terrorist threats, strengthen our cyber defenses, and respond to an unprecedented series of natural disasters. She ends with President Trump thanks him for his patriotic service and wishes him well. Now, John, we've seen a lot of departures at this White House in recent weeks. This is not one that is expected at all. This is quite a surprise to a lot of staffers even here in the White House that Tom Bossert is leaving. And I should point out that he was actually just dispatched to do the Sunday talk shows this past Sunday, where he was discussing that chemical attack in Syria and discussing what those potential American responses could be. He said that all options were on the table, certainly was speaking on behalf of the administration just on Sunday. And this also comes as the White House has just announced in the last hour that the president will no longer be traveling to South America for a scheduled trip, so he can stay home to monitor the American response to what they're going to do in Syria, something the president said yesterday that decision could be made as early as last night or over the next 24 to 48 hours.
This is the Carib Update News Service, and reporting, I am Oslin Crosby. Prime Minister Keith Rowley demotes Minister of Sports in Trinidad Cabinet reshuffle. This is the big story we are tracking this hour on the AM edition of Newsbreak for Tuesday, April 10th, 2018.
Follow your heart to the 22nd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival from June 27th to July 1st, 2018. Featuring Kester Band, Singer Laundry, Small Ash Band, Patti LaBelle, Nyla Blackman, New Vibes International, and Betty Wack. Also, Dijon, Rhythm of the Beat, and Wonder, Byron Messiah, Spice, August Alsina, Shaka Dimas and Pliers, Aishona, Dasha, and Miss Lauren Hill. Save the date and book now for the 22nd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival, an experience like no other.
Now for the details. Political pundits in Trinidad and Tobago have weighed in on that country's Prime Minister's latest move to reshuffle his cabinet. Prime Minister Keith Rowley on Monday advised President Paula May Weeks to make the changes. Among them is the removal of Daryl Smith as Minister of Sports and Youth Affairs. The removal of Sports and Youth Affairs Minister comes as there is damning information which makes him the center of sexual harassment in the ministry. Since publication of the story, many have called on the Prime Minister to fire Smith. However, Smith was appointed Minister in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. Meanwhile, Randall Mitchell, the Minister of Tourism, removing Shamfa Kujo and making her the Minister of Sport and Youth Affairs. But Member of Parliament Barry Padarath described the cabinet reshuffle as a mere distraction. Padarath said the move shies away from the real issue. He also accused Rowley of promoting wrongdoing, particularly with the reassignment of Smith. He wants Rowley to tell the population the reason behind this reshuffle.
Allegations now exist where employees from the Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs indicated that Minister Daryl Smith boasted that one day he will be in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. Well, that day has come to pass, and therefore the Prime Minister has once more passed the buck. He has not demoted Minister Smith in my eyes. The Prime Minister has indeed promoted the allegations of wrongdoing. The Prime Minister must now say to the country, what is the rationale for moving around ministers? And does the government accept liability for the allegations that are now contained in the public domain?
Former UNC government minister Devant Maharaj said the Prime Minister should have reprimanded and removed Smith instead of shifting his portfolio. The UNC National Women's Arm said it is joining what it calls the outrage as Minister of Sport Daryl Smith has been reassigned to the Ministry of Housing instead of being completely removed from office. The UNC National Women's Arm questions this decision since it involves sexual harassment of employees in the Ministry of Sport. With him now being reassigned to the Ministry of Housing, this issue cannot be addressed by reassignment, but by complete dismissal. Meanwhile, opposition member of Parliament Rudal Munilal described Rowley's cabinet reshuffle as an abomination and a joke. According to Munilal, the adjustments are untenable given the allegations lingering over the heads of the reshuffled ministers.
to put Minister Daryl Smith, who has been accused of allegations of sexual harassment and so on, as a minister in the Ministry of Housing, is really the cat among the pigeons.
Opposition Member of Parliament in Trinidad and Tobago, Rudal Munilal. At least 4 CARICOM countries have been named by the United States as major illicit drug-producing countries. In its 2018 International Narcotics Control Strategy Report, the State Department noted that the Bahamas, Belize, Haiti, and Jamaica were also described as major drug transit countries. According to Washington, a major illicit drug-producing country is one in which 1,000 hectares or more of illicit coca is cultivated or harvested during a year, or 5,000 hectares or more of illicit cannabis is cultivated or harvested during a year. The report notes that Jamaica remains the largest Caribbean supplier of marijuana to the United States and the Caribbean islands. It said that drugs flow from and through Jamaica by maritime conveyance, air freight, human couriers, and private aircraft. This is Newsbreak from the Carib Update News Service. In more news, Dr. Andrew Whitley, Jamaica's Minister of Science, Energy and Technology, has been released from hospital after yesterday's nasty road crash in Portmore, St. Catherine. A Toyota Prado SUV the minister was traveling in overturned in a 3-vehicle spill near the intersection of the Portmore communities of Portsmouth and Waterford about 9 o'clock Monday morning. Minister of Health Dr. Christopher Tufton, who had visited the minister and his security driver at the Andrews Memorial Hospital in Kingston Monday after the crash, said that they showed no signs of external injury and were in apparently good health. Antigua and Barbuda will benefit from an additional daily flight from Miami during the upcoming winter season. The expanded American Airlines service will take effect on December 19, 2018. It will increase the airlift available on the carrier from 1 to 2 daily flights. Flights are expected to depart Miami for Antigua at 5:40 p.m. and Antigua for Miami at 9 a.m. Minister of Tourism Charles Fernandez says the new flight will also allow Antigua and Barbuda to benefit from more convenient non-stop flight options and is expected to stimulate a significant increase in stayover visitors. This doubling of the daily flights follows 2 years of negotiations with American Airlines officials and Antigua and Barbuda's airline committee. This has been another edition of Newsbreak from the Carib Update News Service, the Caribbean's newsroom. Reporting, I'm Oslin Crosby.
The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, FanCare, Subway, Carib Brewery, and CNC Trading.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic, and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Come to Subway and eat fresh. Try our daily specials. That's right, we have a special every day at Subway. Come in today and eat fresh. Stay healthy.
Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secure. Deal while win and go. People you can trust. It's not free. 30 days in April. Stick with me. Take a pick on the discount. Percentage free. 30 to 50 off comprehensive premium. And if you got a third party, take the maximum. You got 10 days. Use it as you wish. Alternative transport, not a penny to your list. You get a brand new ride if your car's written off within the first 12 months. Tell me how does that sound? Yeah. Sounds good, doesn't it? It don't stop there, cause I ain't really finished yet. Call the group up, tell them it's okay. We can ride free, knowing medical is in our lane. No additional cost. So whether it's the act of God or a critical loss, tomorrow we're secured cause we got you on our minds. People you can trust, you can hold it to your dime.
Ride free this Easter. Contact the Little Walwyn in St. Kitts, 465-2631, or in Nevis, 469-5303. Conditions apply.
Ride free.
Every country has a story of its own, and the people who live there are the ones that tell it best.
This is God Country!
Is your hair thinning, shedding, or breaking? BioCare Labs has researched the causes of split ends, thinning, dry, and brittle hair and has developed a product to solve these weak hair problems. We call it Strong Ends Products. If you desire to grow strong, healthy hair, Strong Ends Products is your solution. Formulated with potent natural ingredients like honey and shea butter to deposit and retain moisture, castor and almond oil for scalp and roots, and aloe vera and coconut milk for strength. Try the full line of Strong Ends hair products and grow healthy, beautiful hair.
Strong Ends, sold locally by CNC Trading on the CAP Southwell Industrial Site. Telephone 465-4081.
Found the sound 99.9
Win FM weather.
It is time now to bring you the weather forecast. Compliments TDC Group of Companies and Sweet Cane.
Extra! Don't be strapped for cash. Get extra this Easter from TDC Financial Services. Extra for your vacation. Extra for your new furniture. Extra for your shopping spree. Extra! Visit us in the Circus in St. Kitts and the TDC Plaza in Nevis and get extra this Easter. TDC Financial Services. Money made easy. Terms and conditions apply.
When is the last time that you've had lunch or dinner away from home? The ambience of Sweet Cane on Port Zante provides you with that touch. Sweet Cane daily specials include burgers, wraps, soup, and tasty seafood dishes. Sweet Cane also caters for events and special parties. Call our Sweet Cane hotline at 465-4345 or 665-7628. Sweet Cane, they've got the touch.
Let's take a look now at your weather forecast for today. Cloudy conditions and passing showers anticipated during the daytime and this evening as well. Winds easterly at 19 to 28 knots, 19 to 28 kilometers per hour, 10 to 15 knots per hour. Seas moderate. You're going to have some waves 4 to 6 feet high. If you're going out to sea today, do be careful. If you go to a small craft, you're going to have a swim. Do be careful. Today's temperature high of 33 degrees Celsius, that's 91 degrees Fahrenheit. The low of 72 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 22 degrees Celsius. So, cloudy conditions, passing showers anticipated today. If you go out to sea today, do be careful. That's the weather forecast for today. Compliments Sweet Cane and TDC.
the last time that you've had lunch or dinner away from home? The ambience of Sweet Cane on Port Zante provides you with that touch. Sweet Cane daily specials include burgers, wraps, soup, and tasty seafood dishes. Sweet Cane also caters for events and special parties. Call our Sweet Cane hotline at 465-4345 or 665-7628. Sweet Cane, they've got the touch.
Reliability, performance, longevity. This is how you know that Yamaha outboard motors are the best choice. With superior performance and efficiency, Yamaha outboard motors offer the greatest value on water. Yamaha outboard motors. Reliability starts here. Get yours today at the TDC Automotive Divisions for as low as $100 per week. Or buy it cash and get $750 cash back. Free gas vouchers and much more. Plus earn big bucks with every successful referral made. Visit TDC Automotive today. Terms and conditions apply.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Shopping is a lot easier with Courts Ready Finance. Choose what you want from our wide range of quality products, and we take care of the rest. Courts Ready Finance's affordability means there's no deposit. There's no need for a lump sum of cash. It's flexible, which means you choose your payment term and you're guaranteed the lowest monthly payments anywhere. Best of all, it's easy. Easy to get and easy to pay. Shop at Courts today and get what you want hassle-free. Courts Ready Finance. Easy, affordable, flexible.
Make it yours for less with FlexPay Home Makeover Edition. Make it yours for less with Hosford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store with our new FlexPay financing. FlexPay financing that fits your budget, lifestyle, and goals. Flex with no money down and pay in 3 months interest-free, or customize a FlexPay plan to suit your budget with terms starting at 4 months to 4 years. Furniture, yours for less. Appliances, yours for less. Decor, yours for less. Get our 6-piece Moments bedroom set for $42.25 weekly. Magnum gas stove with Daewoo refrigerator for $35 weekly. Sanford dining set with microwave, only $23.50 weekly, and so much more. Hosford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store. 2 stores, 1 home, where you can make it yours with FlexPay financing. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
My phone is my everything. It's where I make plans. You at 7. It makes me laugh.
When Africans go to the bank, I would like to say hi to my money and leave.
Lets me share my happiest moments and hear a comforting voice when I need it most. It'll be all right. It's like a best friend. That's why I get everything out of my phone with a Flow prepaid combo plan.
Save up to 95% on data, talk and text on the fastest and most reliable 4G LTE network. The bigger you go, the bigger you save. So activate your Flow prepaid combo plan today and get your best friend everything.
How does it feel when you got that feeling? You got the flavor you love. How does it feel when you know you're not dreaming? There is nothing above.
How you feel when things come together? How you feel when everything nice? How you feel when you savor the flavor, the feeling you get when the taste of everybody?
Well, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for choosing Win FM 90.9. We continue with our program of Voices today. I'll be pleased to have officials of the Ministry of Trade with us. And, of course, we're discussing a number of issues. We have Ms. Lindis Harris with us. We have Samantha Boone, Tanya Kelly, and Delwyn Delaney. And they were talking about the CSME, small enterprise business development, some options and some things you need to know. That was the first part of our program. We're going to continue now. We're going to go over to Ms. Boone, and we'll continue for a while, perhaps a quick wrap of the major features of our presentation from this morning. And then, of course, we'll invite your calls as well.
Okay, good day again. I'm just going to recap on what we would have spoken about this morning. Mr. Delwayne Delaney from the National Entrepreneurial Development Division, a part of the Ministry of International Trade, would have been speaking about small business opportunities and programs. And after I just do the brief wrap-up, I'm going to turn over to him again just to give us a little added information on small business development. Ms. Lindis Harris would have spoken about the CSME, the skill certificates and how to attain that, and also the movement of people, different types of people, different types of skills. Ms. Sonia Kelly would have spoken about the access to grants and the procedures to apply for them through what we call the Direct Assistance Grant Scheme, DAGS, and other assistance programs for women, as well as she would have just briefly touched on the EPA, the Economic Partnership Agreement, and I would have spoken about the establishment, the right of establishment and the provision of services, persons being able to go to different CARICOM countries and starting their own business, and also traveling as an individual to provide services. So we basically covered most of that. We'll open to questions just after Delwayne just gives us a little bit more on small business development.
Thank you, Ms. Boone. Just to add to what I said earlier, NED has been doing quite a number of outreach that I mentioned earlier, some of which were junior achievement, was university, as well as the Caribbean for Resilience Youth, the CFYR. Also, we have undertaken a number of community business meetings. We have done quite a number of these meetings we've done in the Sandy Point region, Tabernacle before, just recently, the last one was held in Newtown. As advertised previously, one was to be upcoming on the 19th of April, that's next week, Thursday. But unfortunately, that has been postponed till further notice. So that business community meeting that was supposed to be held in Old Road has been postponed until further notice. Sorry for the inconvenience caused. Just adding again a bit of meat to some of the things that NED undertake. There is a list of 14 priority activities in the Small Business Development Act that we as officers are guided by, namely tourism-related services, transport and storage, information, communication and technology activities, agriculture, forestry and related services, arts and cultural activities, construction services, entertainment services, fishing and mariculture services, manufacturing, personal care services, repair of personal and household goods and vehicles, sanitation, sewage and refuse disposal services, sporting and recreational services, and financial services. These are the priority areas as guided by the Small Business Act. However, other business that are not mentioned can seek assistance from our ministry or from NED as it relates to business plans, duty-free concession, etc. The process for duty-free concession is basically through a letter, an official letter. So the application is through a letter to our ministry, to the permanent secretary, which is Mrs. Jasmine Weeks, outlining the type of business, the name of the business, your name, the owner, attach a copy of your business license, attach a copy of a business plan. If you do not have a business plan for your business, we can also work alongside you in developing that business plan. So general information about the business, and of course the item or items you are seeking duty-free concession on. This process takes approximately 3 weeks once we have all the necessary documentation. to go by, and it's basically once you fit the criteria, and we look for items and equipment that assist the business in operation and startup. So once it assists the business in operation and startup, those are the items that are considered for duty-free concession. So without further ado, I turn it back over to Ms. Boone and the lines for questions and comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Delwyn. Just as a reminder, Ms. Kelly would have mentioned that on April 18th, there is also a sensitization on the DAGs. I'll just let her just reiterate that quickly.
So as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, on the 18th of April, the ministry is partnering with the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, the EU, and the Caribbean Export to undertake a sensitization workshop. It is geared towards providing businesses and business support organizations with the necessary tools that would make them appealing, or would help them to access the grant much easier, and also to walk them through the application process and the process of reimbursement. The location is the conference room at the Department of Agriculture, and you can register online at the Caribbean Export website, www.carib-export.com/DAGS workshop.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kelly. I will now turn it over back to Mr. Backus.
Well, thank you very much for your presentations. We have a caller on the line. Caller, thanks for calling. You're the first caller for the program today. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, good afternoon to you, Mr. Backus, and to your guest.
Good afternoon.
I listen, right, and I listen to all of the benefits and the right that the people from the CSME's country have in our country. I'm thinking, have anyone done a survey to see if this movement is benefiting Caucasians and Namibian, because we can see that it's benefiting others from other Caribbean islands. Case in point, Jamaicans. They have quite a few Jamaican business in St. Kitts. Have anyone done a survey to see how much Caucasian and Namibian business in Jamaica and the other countries? Because, like I said, we see that they're benefiting. So I would like to know if anybody do anything to see if we're benefiting from this free movement. You have a good day.
Thank you very much. Let's go to the panel.
Thank you, Mr. Backus. Just to say that the same benefits that persons from the other CARICOM member states are entitled to, nationals from St. Kitts and Nevis, we are also entitled to the same benefits in other CARICOM member states. So a national from St. Kitts and Nevis, a citizen, have the right to explore opportunities in the 14 CARICOM member states, or the 14 participating CSME member states as well.
All right, our phone lines are open, 466-0989, 662-0989, 762-0989. If you have any questions for the panelists, we have with us officials from the Ministry of Trade, and they're speaking about a number of issues that should be of interest to you. Small business opportunities and programs, the CSME, access to grants, assistance for women, the right of establishment, and a number of other issues. And this is your opportunity. Don't let it pass. Let's go back to the phone lines. Call you live and on the air. Good afternoon to you.
Mr. Backus, good afternoon to you.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
And good afternoon to your very special guests from the Ministry of Trade, a very critical and important department in the government system. However, Mr. Backus, the question which was asked by our first caller was not answered. And I will hope she answered the question, because it is something that many of us ponder on. What is the benefit? Survey, she asks. Has a survey been done to know if we are benefiting from the CSME? I don't believe so. Because when you look at this agreement, the biggest islands are the ones who are benefiting. Jamaica, Guyana, Barbados, and Trinidad. I believe it is discriminating skilled worker or professionals who can have, as she would say, indefinite stay or a period of time which will guarantee them to work and establish themselves. How about the ordinary person? How about the ordinary person traveling through CARICOM? You get the 6 months, and after that, he go for an extended time, or he would be deported by the immigration authority. I really don't see this as any freedom of movement. And that is the honest truth. I believe at the time we were conned, and as many people are saying, look, where does this benefit us? We're not benefiting anything out of the CSME. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, sir, for your contribution. And panelists?
I would just briefly respond to both callers. As Lindis would have stated, the CARICOM member states are open for persons to travel to work, whether it's for business or whether an individual personally. We, from what I can say, that we personally are not aware of a survey being done. There might have been one that was done before, but we are at this point not aware of one. But the availability of jobs are there in other countries for persons to travel to work. Now, because we would have signed on to the CSME agreement, persons are able to move and work without a work permit. What we provide at the Ministry of International Trade is the skills certificate, which Ms. Harris would have spoken about. There are a lot of persons who come to our office and apply for the skills certificate, which persons use to go to the different CARICOM countries and use as what we would say replace a work permit. We have nationals who have skills certificates. I think we have persons about 419, about 135 nationals who actually have a skills certificate, and so they are able to go to these CARICOM countries and work without any issues, without any problems. I would have spoken about persons who can work, where businesses can be set up in these different countries, and how easy it is to do so. One of the requirements, let's say for the persons who are skilled in areas such as media personnel, persons who are graduates of university, musicians, sports persons, once you have that skill certificate from our ministry, you are able to go to these different 14 countries to work. The availability is there. It's for us to take that opportunity to go out and do it. Now, I know a lot of persons are going to say, well, we have a lot of Jamaicans here, we have a lot of different nationals here, but they are using the opportunity to come to St. Kitts to work, which we can try our best to do the same. As I said, the skill certificate is there, and so you could first take that step of attaining that skill certificate, and then we go out and seek work as everyone else is doing.
Back to the phone lines you go. Caller, thanks for holding. You're live and on the air. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I guess, how are you doing? I guess some of the callers are trying to figure out there's a difference between the agreement, what it says, and the actual application. Because everybody knows what the agreement is, but is it really that, okay, I have the certificate, as the young lady speaks about, but what are the difficulties I might get if I go to one of those countries compared to the reverse? Somebody come from one of those countries, what are the likelihood, the ease at which it will happen? You believe you catch me so far?
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes.
So I think that's the question they're trying to ask. However, I know that even with these agreements, sometimes the agreement is on paper, but when you reach the border, it's a different set of things you meet. And one country might be, let's say for example, Antigua. Certain things they were bargaining for that the thing was carried from with the sinful movement, and they were saying they have enough of certain persons in relation to what they could give. So they do not want anyone else, and they were trying to bargain with that. So I guess that all that surrounds what you're saying, because population is very important, and population also in size of people and in business. 50% of a country that has 1% of a country that has 2 point something million, 1 point something million, and a population of a country that has 50,000. Two different things. It's still 1%, but it's the amount of people is the difference. So I guess maybe that's what the person was trying to ask, to look into to see exactly the 120 or 400 person copy certificate, what problems they might have discovered or encountered if they went outside to get it, as opposed to say it's there for everyone to get. Thanks much.
Thank you very much, sir. Back to the panelists. Response?
From my understanding of persons who would have received the skill certificate, no one has necessarily complained to the ministry about any difficulties that they may have had in going into another country and using that skill certificate. Now, the caller would have mentioned about Antigua, who was trying to basically, that country was trying to determine the amount of persons that they could have for a specific skill. That, in the agreement, is not necessarily allowed. So that's something that that countries might want to have, but according to the agreement, that's not something that you can handpick and say, well, we have enough plumbers, so we don't want any more. We have enough teachers, so we don't want any more. We have enough nurses, so we don't have any more. So because of the agreement, it's supposed to allow persons to travel to these CARICOM countries without those difficulties. Once you have that skill certificate and the position is available, you apply for that position. Once granted, I think that should not be a problem. So that's not something that we could handpick and say, we have enough of this, so we can't allow any more to come into our country.
Good afternoon. You're live. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bacchus.
Yes, Mr. Politics. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to the good lady there. Now, I will select some callers, and I'll agree with some earlier callers. CSME ain't benefiting of nothing. I believe that the CSME is just for benefiting those who are coming in and getting the jobs. Because let me tell you, our tradesmen them deployed out of a job because of CSME. Because some of these bassmen, when our tradesmen got a skill, they got a skill, they got the certificate, they got this and they got that. And when they go to look a job, just because they got people from other countries working and could pay them small money, they deployed our people out of job. So I believe that is what one the hand that CSME done to the country. That deployed a lot of our young tradesmen out of jobs. Think it is a small place, just 68 square miles between Nevis and Think it, where 108 square miles. And I think that we got sufficient skilled men here to do our work. I'm not saying that people could come in from other countries and get work. But when these major projects happening, you find all kind of companies bringing the people them. And we got a lot of tradesmen here. And because of the CSME thing, and a lot of that, our tradesmen sit back and say they ain't going to the job search because they aren't paying them, because they're paying these guys this small money. I ain't saying that they're supposed to go out there and work, because they're supposed to show their skill and go out there and work. But that is the problem with our workmen them here, because they're saying that because people coming in, getting these jobs, and the bassmen them paying small money, that is why some of them out of job. Anyway, good program.
All right, thank you very much. We go back to the phone lines and then we go to the panelists, right? Calling you live and on the air, they want to keep you holding, so go ahead, please.
Oh, that's okay. Yes, good afternoon again.
Good afternoon.
on something where Mr. Politics was saying something that I was thinking also, because then one of your guests they talk about the businesses that are allowed to come in, and because those businesses are also allowed to bring in their workers. And now if I have a business and I'm bringing in my workers, what is that benefiting the locals? Because if I have my workers, that means I don't need to hire any locals. So you see, I think when these people sit down and they came up with this free movement thing, I don't know what they were really thinking, because I don't think that they had the best interest of St. Kitts Nevis in it, the former government. I think this free movement thing is a bad idea, number one. I think it's a terrible idea, because everybody just come in, and case in point, I mean, why would I'm a Kittitian. Why would I want to leave my country and go to a place like Jamaica to live? Jamaica dollar don't value nothing. They're crying down there. Things is hard down there. The money don't have no value. And I'm going to leave my country where my dollar has some substance to it and go to one that don't have no substance? It make no sense. The Jamaica and those other countries, they're benefiting. We're not. And somebody need to revisit this thing, because we can see. We see things St. Kitts. I mean, that flag fly higher than the Kittitian flag. I mean, come on now. Let's be real. This thing, I don't understand it, but I think somebody need to revisit this free movement thing. You have a good day.
Yes, thank you very much. We'll go back to the phone lines again. Panelists, I hope you're taking notes. We'll come to you in a while. Let's try and get our callers in. Call you live and on the air. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon. You know, another concern I have, too, is that we, as the older ones, cannot help forgetting that we just can't forget when Jamaica and Trinidad especially decided that they didn't want us, you know. They didn't consider us as one. I mean, they get us, as one of my friends Carlin has said, they really conned our leaders to accept this agreement without stipulations. They have not offered us anything that will improve our social services, our infrastructural services, our education delivery. And there are people coming to our country and going to put a burden on us. I say that because they say it's for skill movement of skilled people. You see people coming in here wants to be ordinary hairdressers, house cleaners, domestic servants, and we have people here who go begging for those jobs, right? Then you know who benefit with this freedom of movement? The corporations who finance campaigns, who fund campaigns and give free drinks, free dance, bring in artists, give these people all this freeness election time, and they call the shots. And then they bring in these workers for cheap labor, and I don't even know how much, if they really contribute to pay the amount of what you call, for the, I just can't bring the word, when you pay for the workers come in.
Work permit, yes.
Yeah. You don't even know if they really pay the full amount for all these workers that they bring. Right? And then you see, instead of looking at seeing just skilled people coming in, which in itself is adversely affecting our people. You see people coming in for just menial jobs. And then the other day they had a conference where they honor a lady, I don't say she didn't deserve that honor, for domestic servants, for champion the cause of domestic servants, which is good because my mother was a domestic servant. But they do these things when they want to really advance their case and their cause. And then afterwards you see people coming in here in droves for domestic servant jobs. So our leaders got to be careful and circumspect because it is really affecting us adversely. And you see the shortage of housing because of that, right? And you got to look at their population. So what are they offering us in terms of, you know, our macro development? Because if you're going to have a union and you're going to have, let's say, different size of economies and populations, there are some things that you got to help each other with. What the question is, tell me what you see them offering us with. Because St. Kitts trying to pay their fair share when it comes to international obligations. A lot of these countries don't, right? I don't even know how much it's benefiting us in terms of pooling resources. Everybody going out there and the crab in the barrel syndrome, fighting for let's say investment, fighting for tourism. You know, we're not even pooling resources so as to make it cheaper for everybody. We're just fighting each other down, and they're taking advantage of us. These are my observations.
Well, thank you very much for your contribution today, sir. We're going to go back to our panelists. You've heard quite a lot from our callers, so I'm going to give you a chance to respond before we continue taking calls.
Thank you, Mr. Backus. If I may just address a comment by at least 3 callers prior to this one, 2 or 3 callers prior to this one. He was speaking about, persons being able to come here and accept job for, next to nothing, basically under the minimum wage. Just to say that certification is key to the CSME process. And so from the university graduate category down to the holders of artisan category, persons must be certified. And so while St. Kitts and Nevis is not yet in a position to issue the CVQ, which is the Caribbean Vocational Qualifications certificate, this is a certificate that would allow artisans, persons such as construction workers, carpenters, joiners, electricians, plumbers. While this certificate would allow persons from that category to move, we're not yet in a position to issue this certificate. And I'm not sure if maybe that's what he means when he's saying, persons coming in and taking those jobs. But the reality is that certification is key to the process again. And someone coming with the paper to prove that they can do the job will quicker get the job. And so we want to encourage our nationals to become certified. Find ways, there's the AVEC, and the ministry has been working closely with the TVET Council, who, should be introducing the CVQs very soon. So more and more of our nationals will be able to be certified and, take advantage of this CSME process. Thank you.
Okay, just to add a bit on what Ms. Harris would have said, I would have also noted that the lady would have mentioned the difficulties with persons who are bringing businesses here in St. Kitts and also bringing their workers along with them, and also that last caller who would have spoken about the smaller jobs such as domestic workers being available to nationals from different CARICOM countries. Now, as I said, this is something that we would have signed on with the CSME regime, but can we ask how many of us as nationals of St. Kitts and Nevis have actually gone out and sought work in a different CARICOM country? Not necessarily just Jamaica. There's Barbados, there is Antigua and Barbuda, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Belize. There's so many opportunities out there that we probably aren't aware of, and persons probably are doing a bit of research as to what St. Kitts has to offer and coming here and seeking jobs that are available. Now, what we should remember is that businesses hire whom they choose, and so it's the businesses who make these jobs available. The positions are there, the positions are vacant, and they're filling them with persons who I guess who would apply and qualified once you have that skill certificate. And so, as I said, how much of us are actually going out and doing the research to see the jobs that are available to us outside of St. Kitts and Nevis? I'm not saying to leave St. Kitts and Nevis, but persons who choose to travel from their country to, let's say, come here in St. Kitts, they are coming here to find jobs as they see fit. So maybe we should explore opportunities as well. Now, the caller who would have mentioned the positions such as domestic workers. I think what I would just briefly do is just identify the categories of wage earners who are CARICOM nationals and are entitled to move and work freely in the community. So we have university graduates, persons who have a bachelor's degree from a university or something higher, artists, persons who do fine visual arts, costume builder, costume designer, fashion designer, stage managers, lighting designers, lighting technicians, sound designers, sound technicians, arts administrator, production assistant, holder of any traditional knowledge. We have musicians, whether it's a player of a musical instrument, a singer, songwriter, a band leader, a conductor, a promoter, even an events manager. We have sports persons, athletes, coach, team leader, sports manager, sports promoter, massage therapist, even events manager there. Nurses, teachers, artisans. Artisans is a skilled workman or a craftsman, persons who deal with construction, farm metal, set machine tools, carpentry, stuff like that. Holders of associate degrees or comparable qualifications, and household domestics with a Caribbean vocational qualification, a CFQ, which Lindis would have just spoken about. So as I said, there are opportunities probably out there that we just need to tap into.
Any other comment? All right, we're going to hear from our partners. We come back, we take some more calls and hear from our callers and hear what they have to offer in terms of recommendations, suggestions, and of course, any critique they may have of the conversation we're having here today about the CSME and small businesses, and of course the access to grants and the other issues raised by the Ministry of Trade. Callers, just let's hear from our partners, and then we'll come right back and hear from you.
It's April's Tools Month again at Horsman's Building Center on St. Kitts and Nevis. Don't miss out on the year's best time to buy tools. Get 25% off on selected tools store-wide. Hundreds of tools on sale, slashed up to 25%, including Stanley Utility Knife, $29.51, 6-piece screwdriver set, $54.01, 128-piece socket set for as low as $276.41, Mag Torch self-lighting, $204.31, handsaw toolbox, $83.54, or shell frame $21.36, and so much more. Up to 25% off on tools for this April's Tools Month at Horswood's Building Center on St. Kitts and Nevis. Promotion ends April 30th. Horswood's Building Center, the Federation's favorite home improvement store. Some exclusions apply. See stores for details.
Shopping is a lot easier with Quartz Ready Finance. Choose what you want from our wide range of quality products, and we take care of the rest. Quartz Ready Finance's affordability means there's no deposit. There's no need for a lump sum of cash. It's flexible, which means you choose your payment term and you're guaranteed the lowest monthly payments anywhere. Best of all, it's easy. Easy to get and easy to pay. Shop at Quartz today and get what you want hassle-free. Quartz Ready Finance. Easy, affordable, flexible.
Imagine you have Hollywood at your command. Introducing Flow Evo. Anywhere you are. There's a world of entertainment here, and you run the show. Flow Evo.
How does it feel when you got that feeling? You got the flavor you love. How does it feel when you know you're not dreaming? There is nothing above.
How you feel when things come together? How you feel when everything nice? How you feel when you savor the flavor, the feeling you get when you taste every bite?
Very good afternoon to you. You're live on Voices. All right, you seem to have missed that caller. We're taking your calls now. 466-0989, 662-0989, 762-0989. Caller, you're live, and good afternoon to you. Hello?
Mr. Bacchus.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Montserrat.
CSME.
CSME.
Good afternoon to your panelists. Mr. Bacchus, let me say good afternoon to everybody too, at the sound of my voice, especially USA representing Canary. Mr. Bacchus, you know, our problem, our try to defend our territories. You listening?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Bacchus?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, and so can the panelists.
Well, me on the opposite camp, me glad to say something. Mr. Bacchus, if you come there, we hospital right now, are mostly Guyanese nurses. Because the Montshot nurses also them they seek job elsewhere. You hear me? Respond back to me, Mr. Bacchus.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. Yeah, sure.
Right? Okay. Watch. Just recently, one Nivision company we want to bid right in a Montshot. And Nevis, I will love Nevis. Probably even a little closer than St. Kitts. Maybe not nobody get vexed with me. But that's how we feel about Nevis. I will love Nevis. We only just said that to say that the work on them out there. But then, as my sister of USSA, who, not them Caribbean islands here, I go ahead for Jamaica. Well, you see, right there, you don't got the wrong concept already. You get, because if I work in Jamaica and one certain company, you can win the bid and get them. But you see, you already tell yourself you're not going to Jamaica. Well, Jamaicans know, when I say that, Jamaicans know I say, anywhere me can get the work, me go. You see? Then, let me look on one little broader scale. Is that, even if not bringing in workers, you don't think the workers live just on thin air. So, the workers, they might contribute to the supermarkets, they might contribute to transportation, you see, I will now look on all these things. I will just look, one man come and take the job. They might contribute to house rent. They might contribute to so many other things. Plus, they come and love the country. Then send back for them families, probably them move, them migrate. Next thing, they got one children. The child children, them know. They're not be Jamaicans no more, I'm going to be Kittitian, Nivision, Montshot, Antiguans. So at the least now, they help with the population too. Mr. Bacchus, we come the way because, me a Bible man and me know what God word says. So that's why me come the way. You got to say, just to enlighten that the free movement in the day before mankind put up the wire fence and immigration. Remember free movements, The first man go anywhere and then no immigration, no way. The Bible says what happened at the beginning, so shall it be in the end. Okay then, Mr. Bacchus.
All right, sir. Thank you for your contribution. Interesting. Let's hear what the caller has to say. Now, caller, good afternoon. You're live and on the air. It's your turn.
Yes, greetings to everybody in the name of Jesus Christ, the second person in Trinity, the only Savior of sinners. Now, I would like to say I agree with a lot of what Mr. Montshot just said, because foreigners coming to your country contribute to your country in many ways that we don't know. But not only that, it is good for your business sector, because a growing population creates more markets, more growing markets, and markets are what businesses need to survive, because markets increases your turnover the bigger your population is. The smaller your population is, the worse it is for the businesses in your country, because they're not going to get the turnover and it becomes more expensive to do business because your population is small and you don't have the market. And not only that, your country becomes less attractive because you have less market. So having foreigners come into your country is a very good thing. Not only that, when foreigners come to it, well, I do not know of any country that allow foreigners to come into it and suffered economically because of that. As well as I do not know of any country that restricted people from coming into it and have advanced economically. I know when countries restrict foreigners, they actually pay the price for that in a very negative way. Whereas when they allow foreigners to come in and to work on that sort of stuff, it is a boost to the economy. And when businesses are allowed to hire people for low wages and very low wages, a lot of people think that these are all bad things and there's no good side to it. But there's a lot of good side to that because a lot of businesses, including here in St. Kitts and Nevis, are on the brink or on the verge of going out of business. And a lot of what is saving them is the fact that they're able to get people to work for them for very low wages. And because of that is the reason why a lot of businesses today are still in businesses. A lot of people think that, if the businesses were paying high wages to the workers, that there would be jobs for them to get. But no, a lot of them, if they didn't have that alternative where they could pay people low wages, a lot of them would have gone out of business, and not only a lot of them would have gone out of business, that means we would have less business in the place. And the less business you have in the place, the less competition you have in the place. And the less competition you have in the place, the higher the cost of living would be, because the higher the services and goods and those sort of stuff would be in price, because there would be far less competition. And not only that, because businesses are able to pay low wages, they're able also as well to keep down the cost somewhat of their products and services as well. So in many ways, foreigners contribute positively to the growth of the economy and keep down the cost of living as much as possible, which is a boost to business, a boost to the economy, and in the end, a boost to us all in a very positive way. We need to look at this angle, and like I said, a lot of stuff Mr. Party said Mr. Montreal said is very correct.
All right, sir. Thank you for your contribution. We go back to the phone lines here for another caller. Caller, it's your turn. Go ahead, please. Good afternoon, caller. You're live and on the air.
Mr. Bacchus, good afternoon, and good afternoon to your panelists.
Good afternoon to you.
Question, and as well as it can be taken as an observation. I guess as Kittitians, as citizens, we are always going to feel like we are being treated out of our fair share in CSME. I am really not for it, but that's okay. I think what the ministry should do going forward is, why not do a survey as to see how many Kittitian businesses are being set up in other countries, like small businesses. With technology, I think this can be done. And in that case, then we'll see that people are not only coming in, but we are also going out. And that would even it out. And the other thing is, since we trade via CSME, we are mostly involved in all kind of things via each other, why not, in terms of work, the Labor Department, why not develop somewhere where they can advertise jobs for, say, Antigua, or, other CSME countries, as well as we send our information out for them to advertise jobs that we might have, so that people who are interested in coming in can come in the right way, and we go out the right way as well. I will listen off here for a response.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Much appreciated. We go back to the phone lines. Call you live and on the air. And good afternoon.
Yes.
Yes, good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Good afternoon again.
Yes.
The Bible man, as well called Greg, okay, he just went down a whole lot of stuff, right? But like he said, the business profit. Yeah, the business profit, but it's the average man on the corner benefiting. That's my whole thing, because they come in and it's the businessman that's profiting, but the local, the regular man, them are suffering. I mean, he talked about how it enhanced the country and all these stuff, but ask the mom and pop stores, them was shut down in Groves since we have all these Chinese stores open up. I guess they missed the mark. I guess they didn't get the memo. That is why they all have to close. So you see, you have all these business coming in, but some people are profiting, and if you look, we on the losing end, because I can remember in my days, you had a lot of shops, as we call them. Where are they today? Go to think if you can barely find any of the mom and pop shops, them, right? Because other people come in and they open up businesses and they get the duty free and they get the this and they get the that, and they could bring in the cheap stuff, and the people are thinking can't afford some of the stuff what these people can bring in. So the local suffer still, So come on now, let's be fair. Like I said, do a survey. Please tell us how much petition companies is in Jamaica and all these other countries, because like Carla said, Jamaica didn't want us before because they had the backside or whatever they call it. We was Liquor Islands, even up to today. I'm in big America and they're still telling me, you're from Small Island, Liquor Island. But they're bombarding my little island. We can't breathe. You have a good day.
All right, thank you very much. You're going to go to a final caller for today before we go back to a panelist for a wrap. Caller, thanks for holding. You're live and on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Mr. Backus, it's me again.
Yes, sir.
We still do have a lot of mom and pops this year, but yes, a good amount of them are going out of business. But I would even say a lot more of them would have even gone out of business if it wasn't for people who they were able to employ at a low wage, including foreigners. And not only that, a lot of foreigners as well have set up their own small businesses here as well. And these things have enhanced the economy of St. Kitts and Nevis. So yes, yes, they are good and they are bad. But I think the good far outweighs the bad because nothing is perfect. And I think the foreigners have contributed to the economy more than anything else and have helped us all more than anything else in their contribution to the economy. Does that mean that no pops and beans are going to go out of business? Yes, but far more would have gone out of business if it wasn't for them and being able to employ by these small business for low wages. So I think in the end it's more boost than anything and a help than anything to in the small pops and moms businesses. And which is, like I said, a lot of them are still here today and a lot of them now are also what are set up by foreigners as well.
All right, sir, thank you very much. You're a final caller for today. We're almost out of time for a program, but we can't leave until we have a wrap from the panelists. Of course, I know you were taking some notes and you want to respond to some of the things you heard, and of course your parting comments as well. So we go back to the panelists for the Ministry of Trade, and once again, Ms. Lindis Harris, Samantha Boone, also Tanya Kelly, and Delwyn Delaney. All right, so let's go back to the panelists now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Backus, and thank you for the callers and their questions and concerns. We appreciate and are grateful for your questions as well as the comments that you would have made. Just to briefly respond on some of those, in terms of the survey that I think about 2 or 3 callers are requesting, what we can do is we can take this information back to our office and present this to our PS as well as our minister, and we could use that information if we are granted that opportunity to as statistical data for us to make reference to if persons would want to require that information to get an idea of persons who are actually out there and using the opportunity of the free movement of people and businesses to their leisure and pleasure. In terms of the someone would have made mention to having jobs available and how they would know about these jobs being available. From what I understand, there was a labor market information system that should be implemented in all of the CARICOM countries. I think that our labor department is the agency that is responsible to manage and implement this system. We are not too fully aware of the position of this system at this point in time, but we could follow up and find out about that. But this is something that all of the CARICOM country states should be implementing so that persons are aware of the jobs that are available in each CARICOM country. So that's something that should be coming on stream, or something that probably is on stream for some countries. We understand persons' plight about the difficulties with having your business or some business being closed down. But at the Ministry of International Trade, NED specifically, we have a representative here, Mr. Delwyn Delaney. They provide opportunities for small businesses that he would have spoken about earlier in terms of duty-free concessions and other available resources that we have to make small businesses, make it easier for small businesses and manageable to some extent. So if you'd like, you can come into the Ministry of International Trade, 2nd floor, Nagico Building, Bladen's Commercial Development, and inquire more on ways that we could help you with small businesses to manage and try to have the lifeline of a business continuous. As one of the caller would have said, there are some mom and pop shops that have been closed on, but there's a few that I know have been open for a very long time and are still functioning. We are resilient people, and so I think that we would continue to try to manage those little mom and pop shops, and with the possibilities and the extra additives that we at the ministry can provide for you in terms of, as I said, duty-free concession, I think that we could work along with that. I don't know if any of my other colleagues have anything to say.
Yes, as Ms. Boone would have stated, that our ministry, and more specifically NED, have always tried to accommodate the small business and the small business sector. We are hard-working staff there at the Ministry of Trade that caters to the needs of this sector. We work diligently in ensuring that the needs of the small business sector and you as a business person and an entrepreneur are catered to. Some of the technical assistance that we offer, it relates to business plan, business proposals. So if you're seeking funding from a financial institute, we can prepare those business proposals for you. Duty-free concession, if you're looking to import machinery, equipment for your business, to start up your business or to operate your business, we can assist in that process as well as the consultations, find out your struggles of the business, how we can help, whether it be record keeping, marketing, product development, product management, inventory, customer service, you name it. All the assets and the facets that goes into operating your small business. Thank you.
Okay. The CSMA continues to be a work in progress, and I would just like to encourage our young people, our young professionals, those leaving CFBC with their associate's degrees, instead of staying here and saying you can't get any jobs, you have a number of other countries, you have opportunities to explore in all these countries, so take the opportunity, despite the fact that some may think that the CSME isn't working, I believe that it is working. It's obvious. I'm certain that persons in other member states have the same concerns as us here, but I want to encourage our young people to take advantage of the opportunities. Don't just sit here with your associate degree and say you can't get a job. You can come into the ministry. We can assist you with applying for the skills certificate. You get the skills certificate, you get online, instead of going online and doing unnecessary stuff. You get online, you tap into the website in different countries. You go on the CARICOM website, look for job opportunities. There's something out there for everyone. So I would really like to encourage our young people to become informed more about the CSME and look for work opportunities within the CSME.
Thank you, Linus.
I would also like to urge the private sector to take full advantage of the development and funding opportunities that are promoted by the ministry. It is important for us to make ourselves more marketable in the international market.
Thank you. Also, just as some information to add, I know that we are people who love to research and who love to use the internet, and so you can go and check out our website. It is Mitica, miticca.gov.kn. You can also look at the CARICOM website, which is www.caricom.org, and get more information on the CSME and also information on what we provide, our services at the Ministry of International Trade, Industry, Commerce, and Consumer Affairs. Thank you.
And thank you very much for your participation. Policy and Project Officers of the Ministry of Trade, Lindis Harris, Samantha Boone, Tanya Kelly, Delwyn Delaney, thank you so much for being a part of our program. Thanks to our callers as well for calling and expressing yourselves on this program. We look forward to further interactions with you as we continue. And of course, I'm Clive Backus, sitting in for Troy Biff Mills for today. Do have a pleasant good afternoon and stay tuned to Win FM.
yours for less with FlexPay Home Makeover Edition. Make it yours for less with Hosford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store with our new FlexPay financing. FlexPay financing that fits your budget, lifestyle, and goals. Flex with no money down and pay in 3 months interest-free, or customize a FlexPay plan to suit your budget with terms starting at 4 months to 4 years. Furniture, yours for less. Appliances, yours for less. Decor, yours for less. Get our 6-piece Moments bedroom set for $42.25 weekly. Magnum gas stove with Daewoo refrigerator for $35 weekly. Sanford dining set with microwave, only $23.50 weekly, and so much more. Hosford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store. 2 stores, 1 home, where you can make it yours with FlexPay financing. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Imagine you have Hollywood at your command. Introducing Flow Evo. Anywhere you are. There's a world of entertainment here, and you run the show. Flow Evo.
How does it feel when you got that feeling? You got the flavor you love. How does it feel when you know you're not dreaming? There is nothing above.
How you feel when things come together? How you feel when everything nice? How you feel when you savor the flavor, the feeling you get when you taste every bite?
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
It's April's Tools Month again at Hosford's Building Center on St. Kitts and Nevis. Don't miss out on the year's best time to buy tools. Get 25% off on selected tools store-wide. Hundreds of tools on sale, slashed up to 25%, including Stanley Utility Knife, $29.51, 6-piece screwdriver set, $54.01, 128-piece socket set for as low as $276.41, Mag George self-lighting, $204.31, handsaw toolbox, $83.54, hacksaw shelf frame, $21.36, and so much more. Up to 25% off on tools for this April's Tools Month at Hosford's Building.